Hello and welcome. Today I'll be covering the Exact Path Knowledge Map and Current Learning Activities Data Visualizations. These are two key reports to keep tabs on student progress in the Exact Path learning path. I'll show you how to navigate them, dig into what details are available to you when you use these reports, as well as explore how you can use each one to help you plan for more data-driven instruction. Before we get into the reports, let's review the student learning path. When students start their learning path, they target one skill at a time. Each skill may have up to 3 types of activities: lesson, practice, and progress check. The progress check includes 5 questions for that topic and is only unlocked once the student completes all the activities for that skill. At the completion of every progress check, the scores earned determine whether the student moves on to the next skill, retake that skill, or remediate backward with building block lessons. In order to move forward, the student must achieve an 80% or above to earn a trophy, which enables the student to monitor their own progress. For students who don't reach mastery on the progress check by scoring less than 80%, the learning path provides remediation. In this example, the money skill, the student scored less than 80%. If it's the first time the student fails the progress check, the student has another opportunity to redo the activities and retake the progress check. If the student fails the progress check twice, automatic remediation kicks in. The program first looks to see, is there a prerequisite skill? If there is, students receive what is called a building block lesson to address that learning gap. When a building block is not available, a differentiated lesson for the same skill may be introduced, providing students with the second opportunity to demonstrate understanding while leveraging a separate learning approach for that particular topic. Of course, once students demonstrate success, whether on that building block or that alternate lesson, they move back to the original skill and get another chance with the background knowledge needed to be successful on the second time around. If a student is still not successful on the building block or alternate lesson, 2 things could happen. Again, students could receive another building block lesson, or they will receive an alternate lesson if no building block is available. If students are successful, they can move back up to their original building block, and so on. If students are unsuccessful, they'll be given an option to retake that skill using an alternate lesson. Keep in mind, building blocks never dip below 2 prerequisite skills. Now that you're familiar with the learning path, let's look at how to interpret student data. I'm logged in today as a teacher, but of course it's important to recognize that administrators also have access to these data views. From my home page, I have my available subjects across the top. Remember, Exact Path is available for math, reading, and language arts. I'm going to select math today. From here, I see the learning path's header and both data visualizations listed below. From either one, you can quickly toggle back and forth between them. The knowledge path is the satellite view of a student's learning journey. It shows every skill available to students as well as their specific progress in the learning path. At the top, you can select the class to view and see a few key areas we're going to walk through together. Every skill available in Exact Path is laid out across the top and divided by grade level. Each learning domain is represented by different colors. By using the drop-down, the domains available for this content area became visible, and I can filter to view skills from a specific domain. When selecting a specific skill, you can see the domain and additional details around the skill for a specific grade level. Beyond the skills, we also see students down the left side. All of my students have their second learning path created as seen by this little LP2 and a little learning path icon. All except Anderson, who does not have a learning path. He's a new student in this class and hasn't had a chance to take the diagnostic yet. However, I want him to begin an Exact Path right away, so I'm going to use this button here to auto-generate a learning path for Harvey Anderson. That learning path will be based on his system grade level, so he can start in Exact Path now. During the next testing window, he can take the diagnostic, which will fine-tune his learning path a little bit better, but this at least gives him a starting point. Now that all my students have learning paths, I'm ready to dig into interpreting the information. The skills status legend below the domain filter helps me interpret the information. We're going to refer to that a few times today. The first color I see on this knowledge map as I scroll back and forth is this light green pattern with slashes. According to the legend, this tells me students have been placed above the skill by the diagnostic assessment. As I click to the right, I can see where that green slash pattern ends and start to see the solid gray tiles. The gray tiles are skills students have not taken yet. Let's focus on some of the icons now. Remember, students only work on one skill at a time. You can see a blue icon here to note Jane is currently practicing identify numbers 0 to 99. When I click on the blue square, more information opens in the content drawer at the bottom of my screen. By selecting the lesson Buttons and More, I can preview the lesson that was used to introduce the particular topic. You can see the practice that my students were using as well as review the students' responses. Being able to see this content myself assists me if I need to have a quick conference with students, if I see something that's really not going particularly well. I may want to pull that student aside to work with them one-on-one for a quick couple of minutes using the preview options and then send them back into their learning path or on an assignment. Let's look at some different icons happening in the knowledge map. I can see a trophy representing the skills mastered in a progress check. The 5-question quiz is used to confirm mastery and adapt the learning path going forward if students score 80% or above for each skill tested. On the progress check, they can earn a trophy. You can see Jane has earned a trophy for count to 120. As students continue to work on their learning path, they might need to retake skills occasionally or receive a building block. Megan is retaking Add and Subtract within 10 with some alternate content to give her a second chance of learning that skill. When opening the resource drawer, I can view previous skill attempts as well as the progress check that triggered the retake for that skill. Students may also receive a building block lesson. Laura was assigned a building block lesson for compare numbers at grade 4. By filtering for the domain for that skill, I can see we provided another lesson at grade 2 for compare 3-digit numbers, and then adapting again to grade 1 compare 2-digit numbers, where the student is retaking that lesson a second time. By viewing the knowledge map, I can interpret the adaptive journey Laura has taken to get to where she is now. The knowledge map gives you a complete picture of how students are doing out of every skill available in the program for all of those K through 12 skills. When we looked at the resource drawer before, we saw how to review student progress in lessons, practice, and progress checks. Let's look again at a student who is struggling. This orange exclamation point indicates a student scored less than 80% on a practice activity. To support this student, I can find additional tools here for this particular skill, tell time by the hour and half hour. I've got a video I can assign straight from the content drawer, some worksheets that I can access, and a lesson idea I can use with this student in a small group or one-on-one with explicit directions and materials for this skill. In addition, if I click underneath that, I can see standard coverage. Exact Path content is aligned to all state standards and Common Core. Whatever standards you use, they will in fact be reflected in your account, and here I can see this particular skill and the standards that it aligns to. Exact Path also offers a view of learning progress called Current Activities. If I scroll up to the top, I can see the tab to Current Activities. If I didn't want to use the tab, I can select the subject on the black navigation bar at the top where we see the tiles for Knowledge Map and Current Activities. That's another great access point to get to this particular view. While the Knowledge Map is the satellite view showing you every skill in the learning path, The current activities is your local street view. It zooms in to only show you exactly what students are working on in real time. This is a great spot to be able to see exactly which skills students will encounter on their upcoming progress checks. I can see a trophy tile telling us the last skill the student mastered. I can also drill into previous progress check if I want to see some additional information. This view is really powerful for knowing what students are doing in real time on a single screen without having to skip around to the entire learning progression. There's a time and place for both views. I can also use this really neat option here at the top to click on Struggling. This filters my view to show students that are currently struggling and enables me to quickly focus my attention on those learners that are having trouble. Richard may be moving too quickly, or he may need some assistance. With a close eye on this view, I'm not going to miss a beat. Together, these two views empower teachers to chart progress, provide real-time assistance, and plan for data-driven instruction. Thank you for joining me for this deep dive into two powerful data areas of ExactPath.